It's the weekend update episode of Main Street Sports Today here on MSM TV and other places. Presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. We're coming to you from the Lee Company studios of our respective abodes, and we will be with you here for the next couple of hours talking about sports of local, national, and regional impact. So stick around. It's going to be fun. First real Friday of college football season, and plenty to talk about, both what happened last night and what's coming up. So that's going to be a lot of fun for us, right, Wade? Wade, you're on mute.
You know, this always happens, I feel like, on a Friday, too. I've got everything ready to go. I'm fired up for the weekend, and then I mute myself by accident. So I'm just teeming with excitement. But you are 100% right when you say that, Mo, because it kind of always – I love when it rolls out this way. My old broadcast colleague, Steve Pierce, put it best. That first week of Friday Night Lights, you got high school football. Yeah, you got week 0 in college, but, it is what it is.
Right.
The next week, you got Friday plus Saturday. And then the third week, you get all three as the NFL comes back. So it's kind of like a nice little sweep with all three of them rolling in here in the next couple of weeks, including, as you said, the big kickoff in earnest for college football this weekend.
Absolutely. Again, got a chance to watch a couple of interesting ball games last night. We'll talk more about those later in the show, and we've got a full menu coming up here. That's the great thing about Labor Day weekend. You get 3 days of it because we'll get games. Well, more than that, we'll get games tonight. We'll get games tomorrow. We'll have a handful of games on Sunday and obviously on Monday as well. So plenty of college football to meet your needs and wants here over the next few days. And again, we'll be getting into all of that here as the show progresses over the next couple of hours. We'll also talk a little baseball. We'll talk a little pro football as well. So we've got a full slate. And it begins with our full rundown. So let's go ahead and get into yesterday's results and the weekend schedule on the rundown.
This is the Rundown.
Checking in with you guys on the Friday Rundown. Before we begin, we want to remind you that today's Rundown is brought to you by Chip Walters of Exit Realty, Bob Lamb & Associates. The Blue Raider Voice also wants to be your trusted advisor in real estate, so contact Chip at 615-542-1915 or visit his website at choosechip.net. That's Chip Walters, proud to support youth sports across Middle Tennessee.
High school football action from Thursday night. Only one game in our coverage area, I guess, but it was a big one as Thompson, Alabama comes up and drops Lipscomb Academy to 0-2 on the season, getting away with a 27-21 victory. The Alabamans did. Volleyball action from Thursday. Battleground Academy with a 3-1 win over Middle Tennessee Christian. It was Eagleville 3, Cannon County nothing. Gallatin blanked Portland 3-0. Hampshire with a 3-1 win over Giles County. Big win for the Lady Hawks out there. Providence Christian and Franklin Christian no score. That's interesting. Smyrna 3, Laverne nothing. Loretto 3, Summertown 2. Murfreesboro Central 3, Battle Creek nothing. Nolansville with a 3-2 win over Brentwood. It was Oakland 3, Blackman 2. Siegel 3-0 over Rockvale. Coverage of this one in Main Street on MainStreetMurray.com as Spring Hill defeated Columbia Central 3-2. It was Wilson Central 3, Stewart's Creek 2, and Columbia Academy with a 3-0 sweep of Webb of Bell Buckle.
Into girls soccer we go from last night. Blackman picks up a 1-0 victory versus Riverdale. Independence takes care of Brentwood Academy 3-1. Columbia with a 3-zip win over Warren County. Columbia Academy all over Middle Tennessee Christian. 9-0 was your final there. Battle Creek all over Cornersville. 7-0 was the final score. Giles County with a nice road win at Culleoka. 3-1 was your final tally there for the Lady Bobcats. Davidson Academy puts up 10 goals. No goals for Christian Community. Big win for Davidson Academy there. Dixon County takes care of Clarksville Northwest. 2-1 was your final score. 2-2 was the tally between McEwen and East Robertson, playing to a draw in that showdown. Good Pasture with an 8-0 win over Ezel Harding. Father Ryan taking care of Nolensville 6-1. Forest dispatching Richland 3-0. It was CPA 2, Franklin Road Academy 2. Green Hill defeating Wilson Central 3-0. Smith County knocks off Greenbrier 8-1. Hendersonville defeating Centennial 8-0. Hillsboro with a 2-0 win versus Hume Fogg. Other scores, it was Murfreesboro Central Magnet 8, Lawrence County 2. Clarksville with a 1-1 draw versus Liberty Creek. Loretto defeating Marshall County 2-0. And Montgomery Central on top of Clarksville Northeast 3-1 was your final tally there.
Also, Nashville Christian with a 1-0 win over Donaldson Christian. Oakland down Siegel 2-0. It was Franklin 6, Page 0. Pope John Paul II 1-0 over Ensworth. Portland doubled up Cheatham County 4-2. It was Ravenwood with a 1-0 win over Brentwood. Rockvale defeated Lebanon 5-0. Henry County and Rossview played to a 2-2 draw. Smyrna defeated Cookeville 3-1. Lead Academy with a 3-3 deadlock with Springfield. St. Cecilia defeated Hunters Lane 6-1. STEM Academy defeated Antioch 6-2. Stewart's Creek defeated Grace Christian of Franklin 7-3. Summit with a 4-1 win over Mount Juliet. It was Sycamore 2, Fairview 1. Macon County with the shutout win 8-0 over Watertown. White House also blanked West Creek 4-0. Martin Luther King 6, White House Heritage 0. And Zion Christian with a 3-1 win over Franklin Christian. In Major League Baseball on Thursday, host Philadelphia defeated the Atlanta Braves 5-4. Also Houston with a 6-3 come from behind win over Kansas City. The Nashville Sounds won 5-1 at Charlotte.
That takes us into tonight's schedule, and buckle up, boys and girls. We got a big one of high school football, including a visit from our friends out in Anna, Texas, Oakland on the road at Anna, Texas. How about that, ladies and gentlemen, as the Patriots will load up for the Lone Star State kickoff coming your way still at 7 Central. Collierville at Beach this evening. It'll be Stewart's Creek hitting the road, taking on Blackman. Brentwood is at Brentwood Academy. Ravenwood traveling to Cane Ridge. It'll be Providence Christian, who's at Cannon County tonight. Richland will be at Cascade. It'll be broadcast on Pulaski Citizen Live. Mark Mize, Jennifer Hawkins will have your broadcast between those two squads. Summit is at Centennial tonight. Harpeth is at Cheatham County. Ezel Harding is at Clarksville Academy. Hendersonville traveling to Clarksville Northeast. Wilson Central, who's at Clarksville Northwest. Franklin Christian traveling to Collinwood. Dixon County on the road at Columbia. Webb School at Columbia Academy this evening. Eagleville hits the road for a trip to Community. It'll be Lewis County traveling to Creekwood. Lincoln County at Davidson Academy. And White House Heritage on the road tonight at East Hickman.
Also, Kenwood is at Nashville, at East Nashville. There we go. Kenwood is at East Nashville at 7 o'clock. Waverly travels to Fairview for a 7 o'clock kick. It's the Bishop's Cup as Pope John Paul II travels to Father Ryan. Franklin is at Franklin Road Academy. Donaldson Christian goes to Friendship Christian. Gallatin hosts Station Camp. Hardin County comes to the Brickyard, taking on the Giles County Bobcats. Tell me about broadcast plans there, Wade.
Pulaski Citizen Live. Easiest way to get there, visit PulaskiCitizen.com. Click on PCL. We'll look forward to you tuning in. 6:10, we go live with our coverage.
There we go. Republic is at Glencliff at 7. Also, Silverdale Academy comes to Good Pasture for a 7 o'clock Central Time kickoff. Trinity Christian is at Grace Christian of Franklin at 7. Overton goes across Battery Lane to Hillsboro. That's a 7 o'clock kick. East Robertson is at Houston County at 7. Also, Mount Juliet's at Hunters Lane. Ballard Memorial of Kentucky comes to Joe Burns. Siegel is at Laverne. Loretta goes to Lawrence County. Sycamore is at Lawson. Lebanon hosts Upperman. White House is at Liberty Creek. Ensworth goes to Montgomery Bell Academy. Battleground Academy goes to Maplewood. McGavock hosts Stratford. The Masters Academy of Florida is at Middle Tennessee Christian. Kirkwood is at Montgomery Central. Lookout Valley travels to Mount Juliet Christian. Mount Pleasant hosting Spring Hill. Coverage of that one at mainstreetmurray.com later tonight. Innovation Academy is at Nashville Christian at 7. Antioch is at Nolensville. Independence travels to Page. Christ Presbyterian Academy goes to Pearl Cone. Greenbrier is at Portland. Riverdale hosting Henry County. Smyrna is at Rockvale. Logan County, Kentucky goes to Rossview. Springfield hosts Clarksville. Gordonsville goes to Watertown. Summertown is at Wayne County. Green Hill travels to West Creek. Clay County is at Westmoreland. And at 7:30 tonight, the Tennessee Heat is at Zion Christian.
Ooh, speaking of the Heat, fan them all, folks. He's been on a heater right there, rattling through them all to get you guys caught up. Other bonus score last night, we mentioned it during the rundown yesterday, but Marshall County goes on the road and gets a nice win versus Shelbyville.
What was that final?
As soon as we asked that, I had a giant pop-up that came up on my screen. I'll come back to that. Don't worry.
Okay.
But we got more of the rundown to get to.
Absolutely.
The Middle Tennessee Volleyball Classic is underway, and the following schools are all in action. You can see Blackman, Eagleville, Rockvale, Siegel, Stewart's Creek. You can also see Franklin Road Christian at Zion Christian. Again, matches played all across Middle Tennessee. I believe predominantly in the Murfreesboro area. Is that correct?
I believe so, yeah.
More on that throughout the rundown as well. That action will spill into Saturday as, again, Blackman, Eagleville, East Robertson is at Gallatin. That match we confirmed beginning at 9 a.m. Merrill Hyde will take on Gallatin at 11 a.m. Rockvale, Siegel, Stewart's Creek, all in action throughout the rest of the weekend there. Girls soccer, there are a few matches scheduled for tonight and a couple of scheduled throughout the weekend. Middle Tennessee Christian is at Grace Baptist Chattanooga. That match gets underway at 4:30 p.m. this evening. Kirkwood is at Kenwood tonight at 6 o'clock. At 7 p.m., Gallatin will take on West, Knoxville West, I'm assuming.
I would assume so.
Again, 7 p.m. Saturday, we have Gallatin versus Maryville. That kickoff is set for noon. Liberty Creek taking on the girls' preparatory school at 1:30. Collierville taking on Station Camp at 2. At 4 p.m. tomorrow, it'll be Father Ryan versus Farragut. Sunday, we'll see Station Camp versus Greenville at 10 a.m. And at 2 p.m., Liberty Creek versus Lincoln County. A couple of college football games schedule-wise we'll tell you about. We got a lot more on these games throughout the course of our broadcast today. But for now, Austin Peay at Louisville tomorrow at 11 a.m. Game can be seen on ACC Network. Also at 11 a.m., you can catch Virginia Tech at Vanderbilt. That game will be shown on ESPN. 11:45 will be Chattanooga at Tennessee. Game will be on the SEC Network. Mississippi Valley State is at TSU. Maybe
That's
bring
the
an
John
umbrella.
Merritt Classic, by the way.
Yeah, the John Merritt Classic. Maybe bring an umbrella at Nissan Stadium, but weather permitting. We'll see at 5 p.m. tomorrow on ESPN Plus as your television option there if you're not in attendance. 6 p.m. tomorrow will be Tennessee Tech at MTSU, also on ESPN Plus, and a NAI football dose for you tomorrow. It'll be Cumberland taking on Missouri Baptist. Game will begin at 1 p.m. You can catch it on WANT-FM. That is 98.9. Mo, I promised you a score earlier. It was Marshall County 47, Shelbyville 35. A shootout last night in Bedford County.
Okay, that sounds like a heck of a ball game. Big win for the Marshall County Tigers, as you said, going to 2-0 with that win. Major League Baseball this weekend. Tonight, well, today, 5:40 first pitch for the Braves and Phillies up at Citizens Bank Park in Philadelphia. You can see it on Valley Sports Southeast. Local TV or MLB TV only for Kansas City at Houston. That's a 7:10 first pitch. On Saturday, the Royals and the Astros start at 6:10 Central Time. Again, MLB TV. And the Braves and the Phillies are on at 6:15, and that one is on Big Fox, as they like to say. Sunday finales, Kansas City at Houston. That's a 1:10 start. Local TV, Braves, Phillies, 6:10 on ESPN. The Sounds finish up their series over at Charlotte. 4:30 game tonight, followed by a second game that is a makeup from late July. So that's a 7-game series there. Sounds in Charlotte tomorrow at 5:05 and Sunday at 5:05 to finish things up. WNBA action this weekend. Tonight at 6:30 on Ion, you can see the Lynx and the Wings, or you can see the Fever in the Sky. Followed at 9 on Ion, it's Atlanta at the Aces or the Liberty at the Storm. So 4 good ones there. Saturday, Connecticut is at Washington, 2 o'clock start. No TV plans for that one. On Sunday, 12 noon on NBA TV, it's the Seattle Storm at the Connecticut Sun. At 2 o'clock, it's Chicago at Minnesota. At 3 o'clock on NBA TV, it's Indiana at Dallas. Also at 3, the Aces travel to Phoenix to take on the Mercury, and the Dream travels to LA to take on the Sparks at 6. MLS action, finally. Tomorrow at 6:30, you can see it on Apple TV. The Nashville Soccer Club travels south, taking on Orlando City. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your rundown. Your top story brought to you, as always, by Piggly Wiggly in Neely's Mill in Columbia. Be sure and check out their delicious daily deli lunch options that are available until 6 o'clock, as well as their hand-cut meats, and everything is cost plus 10% at the cash register. Piggly Wiggly, Neely's Mill, Columbia, bringing you our top story. And, man, this is tough. Woke up to this news this morning. Columbus Blue Jackets forward Johnny Gaudreau and his brother Matthew were killed last night riding bikes struck by a vehicle in New Jersey, according to the New Jersey State Police. A driver of a Jeep Grand Cherokee hit 2 pedal cyclists, later identified as the Gaudreau brothers. Hit him from behind while trying to pass a sports utility vehicle on the right that had moved over to make way for the bicyclists. Both suffered fatal injuries in the crash. The driver is suspected of being under the influence, has been charged with 2 counts of death by auto, reckless driving, possession of an open container, and consuming alcohol in a motor vehicle. Sean Higgins, 43, told police that he had 5 or 6 beers before the crash and had tried to go around the SUV on the right after thinking the other vehicle was trying to block him from passing. He told police his drinking contributed to his impatience and reckless driving, and he failed a field sobriety test. Apparently, the brothers were in New Jersey to be groomsmen in their sister's wedding that was scheduled for today.
Man, awful situation, awful news. First thing I saw when I woke up this morning, notification wise and social media wise, the same, because, man, that is tough situation all around. Obviously, anytime you have an accident, but especially a fatal one, is really, really tough and really tragic. And then you throw in the fact that, yeah, they were getting ready for what was supposed to be a very special and very celebratory day. Man, that is tough news to wake up to. The NHL and sports community kind of at large kind of reeling from that this morning.
Absolutely. Johnny Gaudreau, 31, played for the Calgary Flames and the Blue Jackets, played 11 seasons in the NHL, a 2023 All-Star, 12 goals and 48 assists last year. Matthew Gaudreau played college hockey at Boston College and played some minor league hockey for a number of years. Johnny had the nickname Johnny Hockey, earned that at Boston College, where they won a national championship in 2012. Signed with the Flames, scored a goal in his only game of the 2013-2014 season, retained his rookie status the following year, helped Calgary into the playoffs with 24 goals, 64 points, and again was a six-time All-Star with the Flames before joining Columbus. I mean, it's just indescribable, something like this, and the circumstances around it. I mean, it's just tough. I can't imagine what that family's going through. I can't imagine what the Blue Jackets are going through. The hockey community at large. That's just a tough deal all the way around, like you said, and continue to keep that family in particular in your thoughts. Leaves behind a wife and 2 children.
Yeah, it's not great, and by all accounts, not that this matters by any stretch of the imagination, because any loss is equally as tragic. But by all accounts, a great guy. Wins the Hobie Baker coming out of college at Boston College. Really promising career, as you mentioned, multi-time All-Star. Wins the Lady Bing, which is the most gentlemanly player. So I mean, by all accounts, a great guy. And brother Matt as well. And just really, really tough situation all around. Like I said, anytime you have a loss of life, it is tragic, and hopefully everybody is coping with that somehow, some way, because man, I can't even imagine this morning.
I feel for that family. As you said, Wade, I mean, they were getting ready for a momentous celebratory occasion, and instead they're dealing with the death of 2 of their children, 2 of their siblings, and it's just there's no words to describe what that family is going through right now. There's no way, and just wishing some sort of comfort in time for them. So let's go ahead and take a break here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we return to the Lee Company studios, we will get into some Nashville Sounds or some First Horizon talk anyway. So stay tuned when we come back from this break. Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
He shoots, and he scores!
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you. No matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers. Putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
The weekend update continues here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. We were or are set to talk a little Nashville Sounds, and more specifically, the Home Run Derby X that will be taking place out at First Horizon Park tomorrow evening. We are short a guest at this moment, but a couple of weeks ago we had Nick Swisher on to talk about this event. This is the first time it's come to Nashville. 3-on-3 co-ed competition, 4 teams led by major leaguers or former major leaguers Manny Ramirez, Nick Swisher, Pedro Alvarez, and Andrew Jones, along with a women's player from the softball/baseball world and a local player from the Middle Tennessee area. And what separates this from other home run derbies is defense is a portion of the equation. So, that's a big deal as far as this goes. But it starts 6 o'clock over at First Horizon.
I'm looking at tickets right now, and this will be a fun event. If the weather holds off, and if we get a little break in the heat wave, you're right. I think this will be really, really fun because of the kind of unique thing. I'm just fascinated by the concept of you got a home run derby that does incorporate an element of defense into it.
Yeah, for sure. And so I guess you can make plays and you can rob home runs. I don't know. It's an interesting setup. Again, as we talked to Nick Swisher down at First Horizon a few weeks ago, they're going to hit from around second base, so they're not actually swinging from the plate. And it only really involves kind of half the field, the right center to the right field line. Is what will be in play for the home runs, according to this little sketch that they've got up on the website at NashvilleSounds.com. So that's it's certainly unique. Again, joining Ramirez, Swisher, Alvarez, and Andrew Jones are former Oklahoma standout Jocelyn Allo, Alex Hugo, who played at the University of Georgia, Amanda Lorenz, who played at Florida, and Mia Davidson Smith from Mississippi State. Local guys include Kyle Bowers, Bailey Holbrook, Corey Lubinsky, and Tyler Marshburn. And apparently you had to try out for that, for those local spots. And those guys made the cut. I guess they play some amateur ball around here still, and they've got their swings in tune and that kind of thing.
Yeah. I'm trying to think where I saw this. I guess it was on the Official Sounds Twitter a couple weeks ago. They had kind of at one point a kind of a media packet, if you will, on some of the, everybody knows who Andrew Jones and everybody knows who Manny, who those guys are. But some of the other folks, it was kind of a chance to meet the other participants. And it was a few weeks ago, so I don't know if I'll be able to find it real quick. But it was kind of neat because, one of your celebrities, if you will, or one of your guest swingers is a longtime season ticket holder. And kind of obviously you got to have a little chops. They're not just letting me go out there and swing the bat, whether I got some tickets or not. But so that nice little combination, I think, is pretty cool. And when we sat down with Nick a couple weeks ago, he mentioned the fact that Nashville is kind of the cool city, the it city, as we've mentioned a few times on this show. And as a result, I think they're anticipating a pretty good turnout for this thing.
It should be. I mean, I think it's a tough schedule just from the standpoint that it is the first weekend of college football season. But other than that, it should be interesting to see what kind of turnout they get for this event. So it again, very, very unique. So kind of looking forward to seeing what kind of turnout they do get. And you mentioned, possibility of needing umbrellas for that John Merritt Classic. I guess that would also hold up for this and might hold up for us tonight as well, as I'm looking out the window and seeing wind and rain right now. So we'll see how that goes. I think we are in the process of trying to get Alex Hugo, our scheduled guest, and working through some technological issues at the moment. So but again, the Sounds over in Charlotte this week won last night. I think they split Tuesday and Wednesday, and again, there's a makeup game tonight as well. So you're going to wind up getting 7 games in over at Charlotte between those two. We mentioned earlier this week, Brewer Hicklin became the first Sound ever and the first AAA player since 2005 to go 2040. So some big things going on for and with the Sounds these days as their season winds down. They're in Charlotte now. They've got 2 6-game series remaining after they finish this one up, both at home, one against Gwinnett and one against Memphis. So
a quick question that makes me think of that. Forgive my ignorance. How does the postseason work in AAA, and is the postseason the same at every level of minor league baseball? How does that work?
I don't know that it is the same at every level of minor league baseball. There is a first half and a second half in AAA, and I think the first half winners and the second half winners play each other for a spot in the AAA World Series, AAA championship game, which I think it's 1 game. So yeah, you're asking me questions that I don't have answers to.
Well, it kind of makes sense though. I mean, it is minor league baseball, so something's got to be a little quirky, right? So the fact that you mentioned they're playing potentially just a one game series, as it were, or 1 game championship, that kind of tracks, I think, a little bit.
Yeah, and I think that, when the AAA season went a little deeper to keep these guys playing a little bit longer, I think they kind of wiped out some of the postseason situations that had been in place, best of 3 or best of 5 series and that kind of thing. But there is some sort of a postseason aspect to what's going on. So
makes sense. I was just curious, because I guess that does make sense, right? So much of that is, it's nice to have a championship, and it's nice to be able to give out awards and accolades. But in the grand scheme of things, the parent clubs would much rather, see their guys develop, I would imagine, rather than potentially, I suppose every franchise is different, but then potentially win championships, you would think.
Yeah. They aren't necessarily into the championship aspect of that, like you said. It looks like they are playing a 1-game championship between the International League and the Pacific Coast League. And I think that game has been played at Vegas, actually. Each league has a split season. The first half winner plays the second half winner. And then those winners go to Vegas to play the AAA championship. So So we're winding down again. The Sounds with series remaining against Gwinnett and Memphis. I'm not sure if that's the order or not, but beginning next Tuesday. And then I'm not sure where they stand. They did not win the first half, and I'm not sure where they sit in terms of the second half standings. So they may or may not have some more ball to play after they finish up with Gwinnett and the Redbirds out of Memphis. In that order, actually. Gwinnett comes in here on Tuesday for 6, and then Memphis starts the 10th. Oh, I'm wrong. They go to Norfolk after that. So that doesn't finish them up. They don't finish at home. They go to Norfolk for a 6-game series the 17th through the 22nd to close out the season. So
perfect. And don't blink now, Mo, but I think we got some good news waiting on us in the green room here.
I do believe we do. If we can get her to tilt her camera up just a tad, I think we'll be able to see Alex Hugo. Alex, good afternoon. Thanks for persisting. How, it's been a battle getting you on, but we appreciate you battling. You are a what, 2-time veteran of Home Run Derby X, is that right?
Yes, a 2-time champion, and I've been with them since the very first year in 2022. So been around a few of these.
2-time champion. Tell us about the defensive aspect of this.
I think it's a game changer. I think that there's a lot more catch points than people think. Depending, you just miss a ball, you have a line drive off the bat, and some of the games have come down to, defense has gotten them back in it, or it's, a tie game. So I think, and it adds kind of an aspect of fun as well. There's diving plays, and you get to throw balls to the kids, which that's what they want. So it's really cool.
Where do you think this is? I mean, this is what, the 3rd year of it, I think. Do you feel like it's catching on? Do you feel like it's creating some buzz, some excitement?
Oh, for sure. I mean, there's some people that don't want to go to watch a 9-inning game. That's not their thing. So this environment with the same feel, the same, concessions, the drinks, the hype of it, but way more condensed and way more like a show. So I think that being in the minor league ballparks has been a game changer. I think this is a fun family event that anybody can go watch, and I think it's going to pick up pace, and there's going to be a lot of events next year.
Alex, you mentioned kind of the extracurriculars, the drinks in particular. You're in Nashville, but you got the SEC roots as well. And as you know, the SEC, SEC country doesn't usually lose too many parties. So I would imagine we should have a pretty good rowdy crowd out there cheering you guys on, right?
Oh yeah, it's going to be, I think the energy and the vibe is going to be amazing.
We're looking forward to seeing what you guys can do. I'm curious, when you go to a new town, how much ballpark, this may be a dumb question, but how much ballpark prep are you doing as far as, are you checking for the alleys? Are you checking for, if there's a hidden cavern, a chance for maybe to either put one down or to potentially make a play defensively?
Yeah, so the first day we get in, it's kind of more media. We meet with all of the former big leaguers that maybe we haven't met yet and meet our teams. So we have the local guys as well, which is really awesome. Then we'll all have like a family team dinner, which will be, it's really good to network there. But then we'll be at the ballpark all day tomorrow. So personally, what I like to do is I'll just kind of, walk and see and kind of see which way the wind's blowing that day. And hopefully we can catch a good groove and hit some home runs for you guys.
Now, Alex, you said you are a 2-time champion in HRDX. How do you feel about your team going into tomorrow night?
Man, we got Nick Swisher, so I mean, he's a ball of energy. So I think we're going to be the most hyped team out there. But no, I'm really excited. I haven't met our local guy yet. I know our BP thrower is amazing. And I feel really good about it. I'm a very competitive person, so I like to have fun, but I also like to, take this game seriously because I want to give the fans and everybody, a show worth watching.
Nick Swisher, Alex Hugo, and Bailey Holbrook will comprise Team Hot Chickens. Team Sounds is Manny Ramirez, Jocelyn Allo, and Kyle Bowers. Team Hit City will be Andrew Jones and Ashton Lansdale taking Mia Davidson-Smith's spot and Tyler Marshburn. And Team Brewskis includes former Vandy boy Pedro Alvarez along with Amanda Lorenz and Corey Lubinsky. So again, Home Run Derby X Saturday out at First Horizon Park. Be sure and check that out. And Alex, we appreciate you taking some time and battling to get on with us here. And good luck tomorrow night.
Thank you for having me.
All right.
Thank you, Alex.
Hey, when we continue on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, it is time to talk a little Major League Baseball. So stay with us when we come back to the Lee Company Studios after this.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today. Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
August 30th, 2006, Adam LaRoche went 4 for 4 with 3 doubles and a triple, driving in 3 runs and scoring 1 as the Braves defeated visiting San Francisco 5-3. LaRoche's 3-bagger in the 6th scored Brian McCann and Jeff Francoeur, snapping a 2-2 tie, with LaRoche scoring on Ryan Langerhand's bunt base hit. Chuck James got the win. Who? Yeah. That was this day in Braves history. Man, there have been a lot of, potential turning points for the Braves in this season. And last night provided another one, because after getting up 4-0 through 6 innings on a couple of Matt Olson home runs, Charlie Morton got left in too long, seems like. Fortunately, I did not get to watch this game because I'm not sure my TV would have survived. But Morton gives up a 3-run homer to Brandon Marsh to make it a 4-3 game, and things just kind of snowball from there. Finally, Philly 5, Braves 4, with a chance to have cut their deficit to 4 games in the NL East. Instead, I don't know. I think the Braves might be fighting to not get swept in this 4-game series, and that might kind of be the final bell right there if that's the case. That's a tough one to lose the way they lost it. Again, you get up 4-0 in their park into the 6th, and you can't figure out a way to hang on to it. And part of the reason you give it up is because you go a little bit too long with your starting pitcher, who's already upwards of 100 pitches. So, and getting into his 3rd time through the order.
Oof, yeah. Back to, I'm assuming Snitker's he had his 1-day pass has been revoked from you based on what you just described.
Again, the Luke Williams move the night before kind of struck gold, although it might have been forced a little bit. Ursula seems to be nursing a groin, because who's not hurt in Atlanta right now? But yeah, that's a tough one. And, I don't know. Rick Kranitz, the pitching coach for the Braves, has been away from the team for some time now. I don't know if he's got a family situation that he's dealing with, or if I'm not sure why it is that he's away from the team, but he's away from the team. And Eric Abar, the bullpen coach, has been handling those pitching coach duties. And I don't know if something different happens if Kranitz is in place or not, but things get magnified in situations like that when you are at the division leader that you're chasing and you're trying to cut into a pretty significant lead, because now you're 6 games down with 28 games to play. And again, I've said for weeks, I don't know if the NL East is a realistic expectation for the Braves at this point or not, but I think it became a little less realistic with that loss than it might have been had they been able to win it and cut that deficit to 4 games. So,
it felt like one of those series coming in that, man, who knows, put a little pressure on. It feels potentially like a playoff series, given the opponent and given the time of the season. So yeah, everything gets magnified around the postseason, and this is one that certainly felt magnified in that regard.
Without question, it did. So, we will see if the Braves can regroup behind Ronaldo Lopez, 7-4 with a 2.02 ERA. Philly runs out Ranger Suarez, 11-5 with a 2.82. Quite the pitching matchup there for this 5:40 start at Citizens Bank Field. But, regardless of what happens in these next 3 games, if you are a Braves fan, you feel like one got away last night. Houston, meanwhile, continuing to handle their business, scored 4 runs in the 8th, taking advantage of a couple of Kansas City errors for a 6-3 victory there. And the new kid got things started. Jason Hayward with a 2-run double to get Houston on the board early before things broke loose late for the Astros.
Good win for them. And yeah, pushing it back up to 4 games in the division. This is a series that we talked about, is a sneaky good series. This is also a series, Mo. This is why gambling is the dumbest thing on the planet, because I told you guys Wednesday with Heather, I have a future on the Royals to win that division. And it's like, okay, the team that I cheer for won, but at the same time, I'm like, come on, do we have to win against the Royals? Can we not have it both ways? So they're a game and a half back in their division now. But you are exactly right. Cool to see Hayward kind of, picking up. Man, it feels like Hayward has good graces with every new club that he comes to. And that's kind of the way I'm feeling right now. I'm like, man, it just feels like you want to turn back the clock and have that nostalgic feeling from when he was a really, really seemingly on the come up special player. And who knows, maybe we catch a little lightning in a bottle with this bit of business right toward the end of the season here.
He has had an impact on some winning teams. Looking at y'all, Chicago Cubs. So, I mean, maybe he can bring some juju to Minute Maid Park and help you guys down the stretch. Again, I was kind of hoping he would wind up in Atlanta, but it didn't play out that way. So, kind of unfortunate. Mike could have used him last night, maybe.
Valdez and Lugo tonight will go. That talk about a fun pitching matchup.
No doubt. Couple of double-digit winners. Lugo 14-8 with a 3.19 ERA. Framber Valdez 13-6 with a 3.27. They will hook horns at 7:10 tonight at Minute Maid. Costly loss for Kansas City, as an errant throw apparently took Royals first baseman Vinny Pasquantino, the son of Spring Hill baseball coach Dennis Pasquantino, into the baseline, and there was a collision, and Pasquantino wound up Vinny with a broken thumb. So he is going to be out for the next 6 to 8, which kind of effectively ends his regular season for sure, and might make him unavailable for any postseason play that the Royals qualify for. So tough loss on more than one front for Kansas City.
Yeah, and this is a team that, as hot as they kind of feels like they have been, and it feels like everything that they're playing for is right there in the mix. It also feels kind of like, it's not a razor thin margin, but man, it feels like they don't really have much room for error. So any potential news like that is, well, as we mentioned with the Braves series, everything is getting heightened. The magnifying glasses start coming out around September, and especially as we get into October.
Without question. No magnifying glasses in Los Angeles, because either things are really, really good, as in the Dodgers were the first team to win 80 games, or really, really bad, as in the Angels are 54. They're getting ready to lose their 80th game.
Oof.
But help is on the way, maybe, because they have promoted, the Angels have a couple of youngsters. Caden Dana is going to make his major league debut Sunday against Seattle. Samuel Aldegari will make his major league debut tonight, and he will become the first MLB player born and raised in Italy when he does so. So, little international flavor being entertained with the
first player ever
Angels ever. First player ever born and raised in Italy.
Man, I've seen. Didn't Mike Piazza didn't he play for Italy in the WBC? I guess maybe he didn't fulfill all the criteria there.
Perhaps, I guess he wasn't born there.
Yeah.
So,
and Arrighetti, as we've mentioned, it's just maybe a namesake only, but yeah. This guy Sam Aldegari.
Aldegari. It doesn't quite have the same ring as Adighetti, but yeah. Italian born and raised. I'm the story that I'm looking at kind of leaves me hanging in terms of how he got here and that kind of thing, unfortunately. But it sounds quite fascinating.
Piazza did play for Italy in the 2006 WBC, but as historians will inform me, he was born in Norristown, Pennsylvania. So it's not like he was born in on the Amalfi Coast or anything. So props to this kid for the Angels. They need some stuff to cheer about, and that's the fun thing about baseball, right? Is when you have a little bit of hope on the horizon. A team like the White Sox, not much hope on the horizon, but a team like the Angels, at least you got a guy. As long as you got a guy that you can kind of get fired up to give you an excuse to watch, that's sometimes enough to keep you coming back.
And I tell you what, as long as the Angels are calling guys up,
yeah,
they might as well go on and get infielder Christian Moore, who has been killing it at Rocket City, or had been killing it. I'm sorry. He's hitting 161 over his past 7 games.
Hey, that was, who cares about that? Let's not get the facts get in the way of a good story.
Yeah. Well, get these guys up. Now, I think if you're a major league team, you have to be careful about getting these guys as major league time. Their major league clock started already. But, the number 8 selection in the draft from from last month, may as well.
Yeah.
I will tell you this. You're 54 and 79.
Come on with it. I will tell you this. There are at least 3 different folks that I know and their families from Pulaski that have all gone down to see the Trash Pandas, specifically to see Christian Moore. I kid you not. If I were to turn my laptop and open the window, you could see my neighbor. They have a Trash Pandas flag. That flag wasn't there about a month ago. That's all I'm going to say about that. So, and I don't know it'll be there a month from now, but it's fine right now.
It's only going to be there as long as SEMO is, huh?
I kid you not. It is out there right now, and they are excited about Christian Moore. And we've had a couple different guests that have mentioned the Angels have promoted prospects seemingly a little quicker than some other franchises. So why not give the guy a shot at this point?
Aldegari will become the first Italian-born pitcher to make it to the majors since Marino Peretti, who appeared in 194 games with the Senators, White Sox, and Indians in a career that ended in 1950. But while he was born in Italy, he was not raised in Italy. Aldegari grew up in Verona, which I guess is a state, because it says in a small town called San Martino Buon Albergo. So this is fascinating. I want to know more about this than I can learn in this segment. So we may be revisiting Aldegari here at some point, but let's go ahead and take a break and get into hour number 2 of the weekend update here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. We'll talk a little football, and we're just going to leave it at football for now because I don't know whether it's going to be college, pro, high school. But stay tuned when we come back to the Lee Company Studios after this break.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers. Putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
Hour number 2 of the weekend update here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, starts right now. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Neely. Wade, did you get to see any college football last night?
Watched a little bit here, a little bit there. Some good, some bad. I watched a couple clips of some games I had no business tuning into at all last night, today. So it was a smorgasbord a little bit. How about yourself?
There we go. I watched. I got roped into the last of the Colorado North Dakota State game, and then after that got over with, I watched North Carolina and Minnesota wrap up. And I asked because I got a question. Can anybody tackle? I noticed. I felt like there were a lot of missed tackles, particularly in the North Carolina Minnesota game, and I mean, folks that were in position to get guys on the ground that didn't. And I don't know if they're going for the big hit and missing or what exactly it is, but tackling almost feels or felt like last night, and I shouldn't make a generalization based off of one or two games, but it kind of felt like a lost art. There was another game where there was literally no tackling going on. We'll get to that in a minute, but North Carolina survives Minnesota after beating them 31-13 last year in Chapel Hill. It was 19-17 up at Minneapolis as Minnesota missed a field goal, pretty much a chip shot, really, with the clock running out. So nice win for North Carolina. I'm not sure how good Minnesota is necessarily, so I don't know just how much stock to put in that win for the Tar Heels. Let me ask you this. Did anybody expect PJ Fleck to still be at Minnesota in 2024?
I was just getting ready to pose a similar question to you because felt like he for sure was on a 2 to 3 year max train out of there, as much steam as he had coming in from Western Michigan before that.
Mm-hmm. This will be his, well, he got there in 2017. So what is that? This is his 8th year?
Man.
Is that right?
and
1-2
has one division championship.
Well, now I don't know that that's necessarily his fault.
Yeah, I mean, somebody's got to win the West. I mean, you could almost make the case he should have more. I mean, that's the one division that you're allowed to win if you're not Michigan or Ohio State.
That's true. Yeah. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, this will be his 8th year with Minnesota. And yeah, with all the hype around him coming out of Western Michigan, I just thought he was in and out, really.
Felt like it went, I got them pulled up too. 2019, they went 11-2 in that year, won the Outback Bowl. And then they're projected, according to our friend Phil Steele, still working on Phil, by the way. He can't duck us forever. We're going to get him on this show. He's got them projected 15 out of 17 in the Big Ten. So they're toward the bottom. But his first sentence points out that they went 9-4 in 21 and 22. So they kind of have been – I can't figure that out. You make a great question. It feels like – I think probably when he got to campus, he's saying, okay, I'm going to stay here. I'm going to do some nice things. And then I'm going to take my pick of the litter in a sense of jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And then now he's kind of got to the point where either, hey, I'm really comfortable here and I kind of like it. The expectations aren't as much. Things are okay. Why would I leave to go take – insert kind of mid-major school that maybe is not the top of the list. So he's kind of in a weird spot, it feels like, right?
He's kind of in a weird spot, but he's kind of in a good spot because, again, as the great philosopher Christopher Wallace once said, more money, more problems. And to your point, it's not so bad here in Minneapolis. I mean, if you don't mind the weather, if you don't mind the cold, and I just came from Western Michigan, so I'm a little used to it. I mean, like you said, ain't a whole lot of heat on me. Ain't nobody bothering me.
And sometimes that happens, right? And I mean, that's not necessarily a knock by any means.
I mean, you can get somewhere and be comfortable and just, hey, I kind of like it here.
Yep. And I mean, the come up was so fast and so sudden. Yeah, it for sure felt like Minnesota was just a blip on the radar.
Mm-hmm.
From Illinois, Midwest guy. So I mean, maybe this is just maybe he's a lifer at Minnesota. I
mean, it's Minnesota. They could do worse.
Yeah, 100%. That's the way I'm looking at this is. They would have to take a real downturn, which who knows how this plays out, in this kind of whole new Big Ten and this new era we'll get into in the next couple of years of college football. Who knows how it plays out? But, yeah, they could 100% do a lot worse than what he's doing.
I just thought it was funny a second ago when you said that Phil Steele's got Minnesota picked 15th out of 17 in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
But
they are toward the bottom, and, I mean – it feels like, too, so the other interesting thing, right, is it feels like the new car smell is off of this guy. Mm-hmm. So as far as recruiting, especially now in the new era of recruiting, what's Minnesota's niche? You don't have the flashy kind of James Franklin type charismatic coach to sell at your program. And unless your NIL is tight, I mean, kind of where do you fit in? What's your niche, right?
Yeah, and I'm just not sure. I'm not sure row the boat is really in vogue at this point. So I don't know. Maybe he's just another guy, but maybe he's good enough for them and they're good enough for him. And so, you just ride it out. See what happens.
Having said all that, let them mess around and win 10 games somehow in the next 2 years, and he will be on a one-way ticket to Mississippi State or wherever we'll potentially have him at that point.
Yeah, and again, I'll remind him what Biggie said at that point. But, the great thing is I'm looking at coacheshotseat.com. He's not in the top 19. So there's something to be said for that in this day and time. Go where you're celebrated, not tolerated. So, Um, as I mentioned, I watched, I guess the second half maybe of Colorado and North Dakota State, and I'm not quite sure what to make of it. I mean, if all you were looking for was the dub, then yeah, Colorado got that. But if they are going to improve on 4-8 from last year, I would imagine if you are a Buffalo fan, you expected them to take care of business a little bit better than, to have to run the clock out to keep North Dakota State from getting the ball back with a chance to go ahead. And there was some odd offense to me late in that game. I don't know how much of it you watched, but after North Dakota State scored to make it 31-26, went for two, didn't get it, kicked it deep. Colorado had the ball, and I think they ran like 8 plays, and 7 of them were passes. I mean, I'm not the smartest guy about offensive football, but I think if I've got, or if I'm supposed to have a decided size advantage, I'm in the last 2 minutes and I'm trying to run the clock out, I'm pounding you on the ground and keeping the clock running and making you have to burn timeouts and making you have to stop me from getting a couple of first downs to try to get the ball back. While they were throwing the ball to the perimeter, as much as they were late, was indicative to me that maybe that offensive line hasn't improved as much as it needed to from last year to this year. And that Dion didn't have a whole lot of confidence in that offensive line.
Man, there's a lot to potentially unpack from this game because, yes, you got the win. Yes, Shedeur Sanders goes 26 of 34, 4 touchdowns. His 1 interception was kind of a fluke.
Oh, God.
A fluke interception, to say the least. Travis Hunter, has 3 of those with 7 catches for 132 yards. There's a lot potentially to get you excited. But, man, there's also a lot that potentially has you scratching your head saying, how excited should I be right now? A lot of the routes seem to be almost just 4 verts, which, okay, cool. You can probably run 4 verts versus North Dakota State and get away with it.
And get somebody open, yep.
And especially you could probably get Travis Hunter away for it, or Jimmy Horn Jr., who almost had 200 yards receiving last night. But I don't know, man. And the weird thing is, just like last year, we kind of can't look away from this.
You cannot look away from it. And that's, I don't know if that's good for Colorado or not, to be honest.
It's kind of, it almost feels eerily similar to last year. And I know they probably will be a little better in terms of talent. But, man, yeah. So the fact that you're running 4 verts and, like you said, the offensive line questions will really be interesting. I mean, they go to Nebraska next week. I'm not saying Nebraska is great by any means, but woof. I mean, we'll probably all tune in, but it feels like all the eyes are on Colorado and everything is kind of like oddly fascinating until kind of almost like the rug gets yanked out. And then all of a sudden we're going to be standing there, I feel like, kind of like we were last year, saying, what were we so enamored with? Because there really wasn't a lot to look at by the end of it last year.
Yeah. All the eyes are on Colorado, and I'm not sure they're on them for all the right reasons necessarily. I will tell you, friend of the show, David Ubben, who will be on with us on Tuesday, was in Boulder and is traveling back home from Boulder, which is why we don't have him today, though we do have a great guest coming up. But when I was texting with him, I said, hey, tell Coach Prime, I said, hey, at about 9:00 last night, I texted David and said, never mind. That was right after I think North Dakota State had gone up again, like 24-20 maybe, or 20-17. But yeah.
And the interesting thing is this whole Colorado experiment is an exercise to me in PR from the jump. And even this game last night, depending on which way you want to look at it, hey, we played a really good team, FCS team, but a really good team is the way you could spin it. And here are the numbers that we put up. And there are a lot of good numbers versus a really good team. The other way, if you were looking at it in a damning situation, man, you barely beat an FCS team and you had some odd play calls at the end of the game. And even worse, if you really want to go down a rabbit hole, it's like, man, are you running the play calls for the good of your team, or are you running the play calls potentially for the good of your quarterback and your receiver and their potential prospects in the future? Is another weird kind of diabolical subplot to all of this as well. Which, by the way, Sanders is, according to DraftKings, plus 2,000 to win the Heisman, and Hunter 2,500. Now, I saw a couple tweets last night. It's like, hey, Hunter's basically got to be one of your front runners at this point. I know we're just starting, but man, he looked great.
You ever felt like you won, but you didn't win? I think that was a moment of clarity for Coach Deion Sanders right there last night.
It's interesting, and
we can't look away.
We can't look away. I will tell you this. I've got a couple friends that live in the Denver area, and they've been longtime Colorado fans. They're just obviously loving it because any attention in their mind is good attention. They were so attention strapped for such a long time, and so they're loving it. But from the national media perspective, it is such an interesting kind of class, in my opinion, in PR and where we go from here. I'm going to be fascinated. And like you said, we'll be tuned in almost every game, just like we were last year.
Without question. Neglected to mention, Max Johnson, North Carolina quarterback, had to be carted off the field in that Minnesota game with a leg injury. And I turned it on just as that was taking place, I guess. So I didn't actually see the play, but from the gravity that the broadcast team was handling it with, it was pretty serious. So that's a kid who's played a lot of college football and been to a lot of places. His dad, Brad Johnson, played quarterback in the league, played at Florida State. And, you hope things turn out well for him. But apparently that was a pretty serious injury that he sustained.
Oof.
And I guess if you are North American, you are glad that you didn't sustain any injuries along those lines in a 77-0 loss to Stephen F. Austin. That was 77-0 at the half. At which point, I guess either the coaches agreed or the officials said, we are going to play 2 5-minute quarters in the second half, and we're all getting the hell out of Dodge.
Oof.
They played a 5-minute third quarter and a 5-minute fourth quarter. I guess that was the closest thing they had to a mercy rule.
Well, I was just getting ready to say, I didn't see this. I thought I read there was even with that shortage, there was also a running clock implemented. Think about that.
I don't know about that.
Think about that. We're going to run 2 5-minute quarters, and it's going to be a running clock.
Oh, God. I had never heard of North American University until last night, when I think it was friend of the show Matt Brown that had a horrible loss alert up for this one. I think it was 42-0 in the first quarter.
Oof. And I saw this on the internet too, and we'll come back to them later in the show, but somebody did point out that Oklahoma beat Texas A&M 77-0 back in 2003, I think it was. So I mean, I'm not saying North American and Texas A&M are one and the same, but I mean the score was the same.
Mm-hmm.
OU 77, Texas A&M 0 from November 8th, 2003.
Oof,
man. Now that was number 1 Oklahoma, I should say, but
that was number 1 Oklahoma. That was not Stephen F. Austin. Yeah.
And so I'm wondering too, Stephen F. Austin, they're the Lumberjacks, right? Do they have some deal where the mascot, is he responsible for like a a swing every time a point is scored? I mean, because
He
that
got-
is a lot of swings if that's the case, my man.
He got to go cut down 77 trees or something,
Yeah.
or what? Yeah, that's
Oof.
a heck of a question.
Hey,
College
yeah.
Yeah.
Two quick things, real quick, Mo. Number one, two quick shout outs. Number one, shout out to our boy, Coach Drink from Missouri last night. Did you see this? The spread was 50.5. Missouri
won 51-0.
Missouri is going for it on 4th and goal from the 4-yard line. And if they don't get it, obviously it's 4th down. If they don't get it, they turn it over. If they get it, they just take the knees. But there was a false start. And so after the false start, they said, yeah, we'll kick the field goal. So they cover the 50.5 there, which is interesting. And then real quick, this one is a little closer to home. And it's a little bit of a stretch, but I'll be brief. We mentioned Cumberland University opening up their season on Saturday. Shout out to the Phoenix getting ready to open it up. But a former player of theirs, Alex O'Brien, around the 2000 era, I think he was a fullback. He is competing. He's a gym owner in Murfreesboro. He's competing at the CrossFit Games for the Masters, the older folks down in Birmingham this weekend. And he's currently in the top 10 in the leaderboard. So Cumberland alum kind of representing, and a little bit of a football twist there for us before break.
There we go. When we come back to the Lee Company studio,
JoJo will be proud of me for that one, Mo.
When we come back to the Lee Company studios here on Main Street Sports today, we will be joined by Horns247.com's Eric Henry, whose underscore at the end of his Twitter account always throws me off. But at any rate, Eric C. Henry underscore joining us when we come back. Stay with us.
Do you want to be a bad man? Yes, you do. Do you want to taste sweet salvation underneath the summer moon? Do you need another hand now? Yes, you do. Go see Miss Josie down on Columbus Avenue. All right, Columbus Avenue.
Robertson County Chancery Court is hosting an in-person court auction Saturday, September 7th at 10 a.m. Buy up to 9.46 acres of beautiful Robertson County land, selling in 2 tracts. Each tract includes water and approved soil areas. Located at 4637 Boyd Holland Road. Join us Saturday, September 7th at 10 a.m. Sales subject to court approval. For more details, call 615-384-5650 today.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com. Weekend Update continues here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. In our final segment, Wade and I will be giving you our thoughts on 10 college football games from the upcoming weekend. Right now, though, we've got Eric Henry of horns247.com joining us. Again, that's at Eric C. Henry _ on Twitter.
Please say
Eric. Yeah. Have you recalibrated your viewing habits for the upcoming weekend from Big 12 games to SEC games, or what will you be watching this weekend?
Well, I'll tell you this first off, and as always, appreciate y'all having me on. Mo, it looks like you are already decked out in the Middle Tennessee gear. Listen, once a Conference USA beat writer, always a Conference USA beat writer. Mo looks like he is ready for another Ascend Federal Credit Union first down from the Blue Raiders. So
listen to you.
Primo right there.
That tells you I've been to Floyd Stadium a time or 2 or 5.
I'm gonna have to get you to send an invoice for that plug right there. That's what's gonna have to happen. But yeah, man, I saw our friend of the show, the Blue Raider voice, Chip Walters, had on his colors for College Colors Day here to open up the college football weekend. So I figured I would partake as well. I don't see you in any burnt orange though, but that's okay. I get that.
You know how this job is, Mo. The burnt orange, I'll take a pass on that. Neutral colors for me.
Yeah, but no, you're the Longhorns open at home tomorrow afternoon against Colorado State. Obviously, everybody's looking forward to the SEC opener when Mississippi State comes in there on September 28th. You still got to wait a little bit, but I mean, how is everybody adjusting to having to pay attention to a different conference out there after so long in the Big 12 and in the Southwest before that?
I laugh a little bit, Mo, when you ask that question, because I do think there would have been a little bit more nostalgia towards Texas's 29 years in the Big 12 had Brett Yormark not run off at the mouth over in Lubbock. And then when that happened, last year was just one giant, forget you, another word, from the Texas Longhorn fan base, Brett Yormark, who was booed heavily when the Longhorns won the Big 12 championship in football, booed heavily when the Longhorns won the Big 12 women's championship, booed heavily every single time he was in Austin. So to answer your question, Longhorn fans have been long ready, no pun intended, for the SEC for the better part of the past year, ever since those comments came out. So they have been, anything in terms of, hey, when is the SEC logo going to be on the field? When is it gonna be on the uniforms?
Yeah.
They have been ready. So from Longhorn fans, me, guys like us, we try to watch college football and observe it from a broad 10,000 foot view. Longhorn fans have been ready for a while.
I love
it. That would do it. What is the expectation? What does Texas try to get out of this matchup tomorrow with Colorado State?
Here's what I'm looking for. The numbers, I think we talked about this last time I was on with you guys. The numbers will show that Texas was the 12th ranked pass defense in the Big 12, 12 out of 14 teams. Now, there's a bit of context to that, right? When you have Tavondre Sweat and Byron Murphy, teams aren't really choosing to run the football against those guys. And in turn, you see a lot of pass attempts against you. So those numbers were a bit inflated. However, an area that was concrete that Texas struggled was tackling in the secondary in games against Houston last year, games against TCU, games where they got out to big early leads. Teams were able to get back into games by, quite frankly, the defense playing soft coverage, and then the secondary, their failure to wrap up and tackle and get guys down to the ground. You look at Colorado State's offense led by Jay Norvell. It is an air raid offense. Hal Mummy's son, Matt Mummy, almost forgot Matt's name. Matt Mummy is there in tow at Colorado State. They've got that thing cooking, and they have one of the best receivers in the nation in Torrey Horton. I've asked Steve Sarkisian and Texas defensive backs when we had him Monday and Thursday, what's the goal? They said that they want to, whenever a Colorado State receiver, the ball hits their hands, get him down on the ground, knowing that they may miss some tackles week one, but as long as you're getting multiple hats to the ball, doing that. So defensively that, and real quick offensively, you just want to see what the running back situation is, of course, with CJ Baxter and Christian Clark being down for the year.
Goodness gracious.
Ask that, Eric. Yeah. What is the realistic expectation for that running back unit now? And how good of a game would you like to see from the guys that remain with 2 of them going down already?
Yeah, in terms of the running back room, and I'm not saying this being a homer, but I think 90% of teams across the nation would kill to have Jaden Blue, Trey Wisner, and Jared Gibson, 3 4-star recruits, guys, as far as Jaden Blue, a legit track guy, so he's got breakaway speed at all times. The running back room, I think, is still talented. The issue is now you're at a place where you knock on wood. If you lose one more back, then you're down to what would have been 2 scholarship backs. The team just added Velton Gardner, as Steve Sarkisian called it. Nice to get a late free agent pickup 2 days before camp ended, right? So at least they've got another scholarship back. But that's what I'm looking for more than anything else is just how guys like Jaden Blue, who have not had a lot of carries, Trey Wisner was a special teams guy last year, Jarrett Gibson, a true freshman, how they adjust to now getting 15 to 20 carries in a game. And then also, again, got to stay healthy. Because if you have a fluke incident where you lose a back or 2, then you're down to walk-ons.
It's interesting that you mentioned that free agent pickup right there at the end of camp. Eric, do you feel like coaches are hanging on to scholarships for just such a, in case of emergency, break glass type situation like that?
Undoubtedly.
In this day and time?
Yeah, undoubtedly. And I'll take it from this perspective. We know with the new kind of roster expansion, right? You can go 105 scholarships, of course, with different sports, the expanded scholarships. What I think you're going to see, guys, are maybe, and unfortunately, it hurts me as a former Division II walk-on, some of those guys who didn't get scholarships immediately and think, all right, I'm going to work hard and earn a scholarship year 2, year 3. Well, you might not see as many of those heartwarming videos with guys being awarded scholarships over the summer, just because you have to hang on to a spot here or there in case of whatever happens. That was the case with Velton Gardner. Again, someone who played 3 years at Kansas, played 2 years at SMU. It's so wild to think, guys, and I laugh at this because it's kind of almost absurd to say it out loud. 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, this is a guy who thought his career was done. Now, not only does he have to pick up a playbook, he's got to go get a grad degree, right? Texas got him into grad school in 72 hours or so. I don't ask questions, Mo. That's above my pay grade. But now he's got to go get a grad degree and he's got to learn the playbook, right? So to your question, yeah, those are things that I think you have to keep an eye on with kind of the way the new scholarship situation will land. And maybe some of these guys who are true walk-ons won't earn scholarships until, maybe year 4, if at all.
So dude had to go dust off a transcript and everything, huh?
Well, I think the folks at the University of Texas, the regents and those folks had no problem expediting that process. I hope there wasn't a grad student on wait list because you just got bumped off.
Yep.
It's wild, Eric, the way that entire aspect of college athletics kind of gets overlooked. The education piece of this, getting in school, getting hours transferred, that kind of thing, as guys are going, or ladies are going from school to school to school to school. It's just a wild thing to watch evolve, particularly when you take that part of it into consideration, I think. And maybe some folks just aren't.
The sports fans aren't taking that into equation, right? But it's the first thing that honestly, guys, hit my mind. So I'll kind of give you the sequence of events, right? I asked Steve Sarkisian. It was the Monday prior to Velton Gardner being announced as joined the team. I said, Steve, would it even be possible for you to go add another scholarship back, given how close we are to the semester and just the start of the season? He said, yeah, listen, these are things that we're kind of looking at all our options and seeing how that goes. But again, I hate to kind of personalize this, but as someone who, I was told explicitly by my fine journalism instructor in grad school, shout out to DePaul University, hey, you were the last person we accepted into this program. Hey, all worked out well. I ended up getting a job in this field. But all jokes aside, it does make me think, like, that is part of the process, right? Where they're going to be kids who, hey, maybe they think they've played their last snap, dribbled their last ball, whatever it may be. And you got to keep the phone on and say, hey, there might be an opportunity. That's real. It's Lane Kiffin referred to it, guys, explicitly as free agency. Not a coincidence. He did it like 7 times at SEC Media Day. I think it's refreshing to hear coaches just come out and say it's free agency as opposed to kind of this, sham of an idea of what the transfer portal is now.
You're exactly right. And
Call it what it
Lane is the guy Lane's the perfect guy to do that too, right? It feels like.
But yeah, if you've ever interacted with Lane, and I spent a little bit of time around him when he was at FAU when I was covering Conference USA. Lane is he's never short on words, put you that way. Real quick, Eric, Mo and I flipped a coin before you came on, and I lost, so I have to ask the question about Arch Manning, contractually obligated. What would a decent showing, or will there be a showing for Arch Manning in the opener on Saturday? You are contractually obligated to ask, and there was a time where seemingly we were contractually obligated to write about Arch Manning. No, here's the deal. Okay, first off, no quarterback controversy, so we can shut that down right there. But Steve Sarkisian has said that he wants to get multiple guys past the 2 deep in this game because he wants to prepare, as he said, 70, 80 players, maybe 90 players to play come SEC play. This isn't last year where Arch Manning was a true freshman. You had a Malik Murphy in tow as the backup quarterback. Now Arch Manning is the QB2. You're talking about a quarterback in Quinn Ewers, back-to-back years, has missed games. You knock on wood that your quarterback can stay healthy for now with SEC play, possibly an SEC championship game and a college football playoff run, a 16, 17 game year, but Quinn Ewers hasn't done that yet. So I do think if the score allows for it in the second half, you will see Arch Manning get extended reps, if for nothing else, because he's the QB2 and he's one play away from being the QB1. Absolutely. And I thought that might be the case. Other question real quick. We know Connor Stallions won't be in the crowds, at least in a Michigan capacity, but how vanilla will Texas keep things in this game versus Colorado State, knowing they go to the Big House next week, in your mind? It's really interesting you asked that question, Wade, because I thought back to what we saw from Texas against Rice in the season opener last year. And while it wasn't vanilla, I mean, if you've seen Steve Sarkisian call a game, you get a lot of pre-snap motion, a lot of those things to kind of, spice up an offense. You're still going to get some of those things, but I don't think you're going to see the entire play. I think especially defensively, the hope is that you can, in the trenches, win that game to a point or put that game at a point where going to the second half, it's out of reach. But the caveat is last year, that game was 16-3 at halftime against Rice, right? So not necessarily a place where you were able to do that. I think ideally for Steve Sarkisian, they'll be in a better position, but also, quite frankly, they're facing a much more potent offense in Colorado State than they were last year. Yeah, Norvell's got a pretty good Colorado State team. They came in and beat our beloved Blue Raiders on homecoming last year. I hate to remind everybody, but yeah, I mean, they seem like they'll be a tough out, a little bit tougher out. It seems like it's obviously not an FCS level opponent, but it's not obviously a Big 12 kickoff classic type opponent either. It seems like a nice little sweet spot to find out where Texas ranks up in week 1. No, it really is because, again, I think this schedule, the first 2 weeks, kind of sets up well for Texas in the sense that, as I said, the secondary and tackling was an issue last year. You're going to get that addressed through the air raid. Then we're going to see how well you've replaced Tavondre Sweat and Byron Murphy when you go up to Michigan. You know Sharon Moore is going to want to run the football. You know they're going to want to play power football, win it in the trenches. You're going to be able to identify those 2 things quickly to see whatever adjustments you need to make for a UTSA, for a Louisiana Monroe, and then into conference play.
Eric Henry of horns247.com joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Again, the Longhorns open tomorrow at DKR against Colorado State. That's a 2:30 kick, followed by a trip to the Big House next Saturday at 11. Texas San Antonio comes in, Louisiana Monroe comes in before Mississippi State on September 28th, and then it's pretty much all SEC all the time for Texas, including that trip to Norman for an SEC showdown against Oklahoma. And if that doesn't sound odd, I don't know what does.
Well, Mo, remember that things may have changed with the Red River Shootout, but I know you said trip to Norman. Remember that game is still in Dallas.
My bad. Yeah, I did. Yeah,
I know
thanks.
You misspoke by accident. Listen, you would hear a whole lot if that game ever moved out of the Cotton
to
Bowl.
home and home.
There's too many deep fried Oreos have to be sold for that game to potentially get moved, right?
Yeah, no doubt about that. But no, to your point, Mo, the way the schedule sets up, I think it's super interesting, right? Because you get Mississippi State as that first SEC opponent. Then you get the bye week, you get Oklahoma, Georgia. That's a 2-week stretch that in my mind can make or break Texas's season. You go 0-2 in that stretch, then you really got some problems. I'm someone who's on the record. I think Texas goes 10-2 this year. I think Kentucky is a game that they lose, and I think Georgia is a game that they lose. So you got to beat, in my mind, Michigan, but especially in SEC play, you got to beat Oklahoma. And yeah, it is a new little wrinkle being SEC football, Oklahoma and Texas.
You're right. So you think Kentucky comes to Austin and wins?
I do. First off, Deion Walker. I mean, that's a hell of a player inside at defensive tackle. If you take a look, if there were a weakness of Texas's offensive line, it is the interior of the offensive line. Now, DJ Campbell, someone they're expecting at right guard to kind of step up and grow more. Jake Majors is a veteran. Hayden Connor's a veteran, but he's not Kelvin Banks, who's going to be a top 10 pick in the NFL draft, left tackle next year, right? You take a look at the amount of starters Kentucky has on defense. And of course, it's all going to come down to Brock Vandergriff and DeMonte Traynham, quarterback, running back transfers, can come in and be full-time starting guys. I think they got enough talent. Look at Jamari Macklin as well. They picked him up from North Texas, who was a stud in CUSA, the American. So I do think Kentucky and Mark Stoops, just based off Mo, they have Arkansas the week prior, Texas A&M the week after. It's a weird game to have Kentucky sandwiched in between those two. So that's why I think Kentucky comes in and wins.
Real quick, since you mentioned it, Eric, I got to ask you, Texas A&M, Notre Dame, your thoughts this weekend?
Texas A&M and Notre Dame. I am keeping an eye on that one. Shout out to former FIU Panther Chris Mitchell. Of course, there's always a Conference USA connection anywhere, seemingly. No, I think for Mike Elko's club, you really want to see how they come out. It was interesting, Wade, just being here in the state. Steve Sarkisian spoke at the Touchdown Club of Houston, which, of course, in the state of Texas, you got to do your rounds, speak to the high school coaches, speak to the boosters and the touchdown clubs. And they said that they weren't happy that they hadn't heard from Mike Elko, that he's just coming into Texas A&M and he's like, okay, I'm going to just close off everything and focus on everything in-house. And there were some folks who are like, hey, I know, has he forgotten how Texas works? You better come here, talk to the high school coaches, shake hands, kiss babies, and let those folks know, because those are the ones that pay the bills. And I don't think you have to look further than, a lot of things that have happened recently in the news. Once the people who donate the money decide that they're going elsewhere, it's a wrap. So Mike Elko,
he doesn't have to look far at all.
No, exactly. So you might want to get a hold of that. So that's, I think, what I'll be looking forward to. Can they come out and win? Because if you do that, hey, fine. But if you start, you start slow, you're gonna wish you were, kissing babies and shaking hands in the offseason. Not shaking babies, kissing babies and shaking hands. Let's clarify that so that's get plucked out.
One of my truisms from long years in this business is you can lose games and you can not be a nice person, but you can't do both.
No doubt about it. Well, you can nail on the head.
So Eric Henry of horns247.com joining us here on Main Street Sports today. Eric, as always, we appreciate it and look forward to catching up with you again here down the road, man. Thanks. Hey.
Yes, sir.
You tweeted something some weeks ago about not being able to find good barbecue in Texas.
I did.
Did somebody get you straight on that?
Okay, there's a spot called Hutchins that I had phenomenal barbecue, Mo and Wade. Yes, Texas only does the beef, so that does make it a kind of tricky. However, it was phenomenal barbecue. The only issue is it's up in DFW, so I haven't found one here in Austin yet. But at least I got that going for me. So
okay, all right, well, good.
Baby steps.
Good. Yeah, there we go. Got to start somewhere. Hey, man, we appreciate you. We'll talk to you soon.
Anytime, and I'll give another quick shout out to the Blue Raiders. Just found that credential right there.
Hey,
shout out to Middle Tennessee.
Let's go.
Look at you. Hey, appreciate it.
Anytime, fellas.
Thanks. when we come back to the Lee Company studios here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, Wade and I are going to pick 10 of this weekend's winners. Trust us.
No losers.
We're picking winners. We're picking winners right here. So stay tuned after this break.
So, you want to be a part of the Busy Bee team, huh? Well, how do you see yourself fitting into the organization? Oh, I get it. You want to be a weather bee.
Robertson County Chancery Court is hosting an in-person court auction Saturday, September 7th at 10 a.m. Buy up to 9.46 acres of beautiful Robertson County land, selling in 2 tracts. Each tract includes water and approved soil areas. Located at 4637 Boyd Holland Road. Join us Saturday, September 7th at 10 a.m. Sale subject to court approval. For more details, call 615-384-5650 today.
He shoots and he scores!
It's the final segment of the weekend update here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton, and we are going to kick off the college football season with some picks. So let's go ahead and take a look at what this opening weekend, week 0 aside, has to offer. We're going to take a look at 10 games and tell you what we think. So, Wade, without further ado, the floor is yours.
Let's get things started. By the way, I don't know what the number was last night, but you and I mentioned Coastal Carolina a couple weeks ago. I've been playing with them on college football. They put up over 100 last night on Jacksonville State. So sorry to Coach Seitz and the gang down there at Jacksonville State. But Coastal,
what was that final?
Carolina,
it was 31-3 at the half, I believe.
55-27.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You know, and I posed the query on Twitter last night. Is Coastal Carolina that good or
I don't know. It makes me feel a little bad because, like I said, I've been playing with them on the game and I ain't put up 55 points on anybody. I'll tell you that much. So maybe that's a little user error.
User error.
Let's go to the games, as they say, Mo. We kick things off. The Aflac kickoff game. It'll come your way at 11 a.m. tomorrow on ABC. Georgia is a 12-point favorite. Game being played at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium there in Atlanta. 12-point favorite versus Clemson. Break it down for us.
You know, we talked to Connor O'Neill of Rivals.com earlier this week, and he, you know, had some trepidation about Clemson being able to keep this thing within that number. And I was leaning that way anyway. So getting a little extra insider info from somebody a little bit closer, you know, I just think Georgia, especially at home, in Atlanta, close enough. And the way Clemson is trending right now, I think Georgia easily by 2 touchdowns and maybe 3.
I'm with you in this sense. If the spread got up to 17, I'd maybe consider Clemson. I'm going to take Georgia though, just because the number is lower and it's below 2 touchdowns. I can see this thing ending, 28-14, something of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
Found this wild. I guess props to Dabo in this sense. He's backing it up. The only program other than Army, Navy, or Air Force that did not take a transfer this season. So we're going to find out if you can do it the old school way via recruiting or not. And I don't think they'll be able to. I'm with you. I'd say the points are too much. I'm taking Georgia as well.
Now, doing the math, 28-14 is a cover, 28-17 is not. So just for what that's worth. Yeah, I like Georgia.
Yeah, I think so. This was closer, I should say. And so, yeah, give me Georgia in this one. Up next, we're going to go through these chronologically here throughout the day. This is in no particular viewing order, but Penn State is 7.5 favorites at West Virginia. This will be the big noon kickoff on Fox, and it's in Morgantown, Mo.
And I think that makes the difference for me. I think it's that hook that concerns me. I could see Penn State maybe winning 21-14. I don't think they win 24-14. I think I like West Virginia with this number.
I want to believe in West Virginia. I want to hear Country Roads Take Me Home, but I think Penn State got a little bit of a bone to pick, I think. Yet again, shocker, James Franklin and his bunch feel a little frustrated with all the talk about the other Big Ten schools. And now it's not even Ohio State and Michigan. Now you got Oregon in the mix. So I think Penn State comes out. They're a talented enough team. I don't think they win by double digits maybe. Or 14, but I can see them covering this number. Give me Penn State, even though it's on the road in Happy Valley. I think it'll be a pretty good game, though.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think it will be worth watching for sure.
Stay with us here for 11 a.m. As well. A game that'll be played in Nashville. It'll be seen on ESPN. Mo, it's 13.5 in favor. These are courtesy of Caesar Sportsbook, by the way. 13.5 for Virginia Tech in Nashville. Can the Doors pull it out in your mind?
I think 2 touchdowns is probably about right on this. I need to see Diego Pavia and some of these other transfers that the Commodores have been able to bring in and what kind of impact they can make. But this is a Virginia Tech team that, as we talked here over the last 10 days or so, is kind of being knocked around as a potential CFP participant. And they get a chance to start proving their worthiness of that conversation tomorrow here in Nashville. I like the Hokies with this number.
I'm taking the Hokies as well. And there could be some reason for optimism amongst Vanderbilt, but call me crazy. I just got to see it first.
Right.
Come back to me, a week or two from now. And if this were the same game, I might lean toward Vanderbilt. But right now, I just can't do it. Kind of for the same reason you just said. I like what I'm hearing out of Virginia Tech. We may both be completely wrong for those reasons. And in a couple of weeks, we'll see. But I want to see Vanderbilt do it first. I'm taking Virginia Tech as well.
Sure.
This is a Main Street media special, Mo, as Bucknell goes to Navy. And a lot of folks will be wondering, what the heck are these guys talking about Navy for? Navy is a 33.5 point favorite at 11 a.m. on CBS Sports Network. But if you tune in, there is a very good chance you can see former Cornersville standout Ben Franklin, who maybe will be on special teams and also maybe going to rotate in along the defensive line. Does Navy cover 33.5 in your mind?
Navy does cover 33.5. I think, you get an excellent chance to see the king of corners will Ben Franklin in this one because, the midshipmen take care of business in a big way in this one. Give me Navy.
I'm with you too. Navy's a little surgical, and Ben, you could call it a homer pick, but hey, we're going to ride with Corntown in this one. So we may not get a chance until the Army game to have Navy featured. So we'll take it where we can. Up next, another big number, Mo, but Chattanooga is at Tennessee. The game will begin at 11:45 on the SEC network. And again, Tennessee is favored by 38.5.
That's a big number. And, as we talked to Christopher Gabriel yesterday, I think it'll be a disappointment if Tennessee does not cover it. So I'm taking the Vols on this one.
I'm going to go contrarian just because we can't pick the same every single game. And if nothing else, if it goes against me, Christopher will light me up on Twitter. And the next time he comes on the show, he'll light me up then too. So I'm going to take the Mocs. Not that it's necessarily a bad thing against the Vols. I just feel like Chattanooga is a pretty dang good team at the FCS level. I think Josh Heupel mentioned it in the press conference. He said, hey, we're taking on like the number 8 team in the country.
Right.
And then, I mean, he pointed out that it was FCS level, but I mean, hey, number 8 is number 8. So I think Chattanooga scores a touchdown or, maybe a field goal, 10 points, and Tennessee maybe scores 38 themselves, 38-10. That's my math right there. I think Chattanooga covers that number in my mind.
Okay. All right.
Let's roll right along. This is going to be a fun one. Down in the Swamp, 2:30, ABC. Miami is 2.5-point favorite on the road at Florida.
I'm taking Miami in this one because Billy Napier does not inspire a lot of confidence with me.
I agree wholeheartedly. I got to see Florida do it. They got the toughest schedule in the country, everybody is saying, and they start out with a rivalry game. I like Miami to cover that number. I feel like if Miami's going to win, they're certainly going to win by 2.5, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Let's roll right along. You're donning the MTSU apparel. We'll be tuned in at 6 p.m. tomorrow night on ESPN Plus when they take on Tennessee Tech. Does MTSU cover 24.5?
I think so. I think this is kind of Nick Vadiato's opportunity to show some folks that he and the new coaching staff have got things rolling in the right direction. I think they cover 24.5.
I'm with you. You and I are going to be booming or busting, I think, together. I think MTSU rolls. If nothing else, I just can't pick Tennessee Tech, man. Come on. I think Vadiato, I think Mason wants to put up a big number. MTSU does cover in that one. Now we get into the final game on Saturday. 6:30 kickoff, Notre Dame at Texas A&M. The Aggies, yes, the Aggies are favored by 3 in that game versus Notre Dame.
I think strictly on the basis of it being in College Station, I'm going with the Aggies in this one.
We agree to disagree only in this sense. I heard Eric and I hear you. I can't trust Texas A&M just yet. I don't really like picking Notre Dame. I don't know that I necessarily trust Notre Dame all that much, but I trust them just enough more than Texas A&M. If Texas A&M kicks a field goal and wins by 1 or wins by 2, we still cover the number with Notre Dame. I take the Irish on the road. Who's it? John Bryce told us a couple weeks ago Notre Dame could be a sneaky team. This will be a fun game to cap Saturday on our schedule there. Going to get you out of here with a couple more. Sunday, we mentioned it's a smorgasbord of football. 6:30, it'll be the Modelo Vegas Kickoff Classic. LSU is a 4.5-point favorite versus USC out in Las Vegas, Mo.
I don't know enough about the quarterback situation with either of these teams. So I'm just going to pick LSU on the basis probably of their defense right now.
I'm with you in the sense that I just don't know what the heck USC's got to offer. It feels like they could have John Elway back there at quarterback right now, but because we heard so much about Caleb Williams, I don't know that I trust whoever the quarterback is behind him. I like LSU to cover the number. Give me the Tigers even on a neutral site. It'll be a fun game on Sunday. Final game of the week, final game of the weekend. It's Labor Day game, and we'll get you out of here. It's 17 points. Does Florida State cover the number at home versus Boston College Monday night?
That's an awfully big number for Florida State, and especially after what they just did this past weekend against Georgia Tech. I can't. I'm going with Boston College.
I've been playing with Boston College on the video game. I like their offense. I think they cover the number. I'm with you.
There we go. Those are our picks. We will revisit them at some point next week, but it will not be Monday because we won't be on. Y'all enjoy your Labor Day weekend. Be sure and visit MainStreetPreps.com for all of your high school football coverage this weekend. We will see y'all at 2 o'clock on Tuesday right here on Main Street Sports Today. Have a great holiday weekend.